month, though, I want to introduce Sharon De La Pena. De La Pena? De La Pena. Okay, thank you. Yeah, she agreed to speak quite a while ago, and then we had some changes because of what happened during the summer, and so it's come for her to be able to speak today. So her title of her talk is Maintaining Health as well as a vegan cooking demo. So she's going to do both. She's going to do a cooking demo. Are you going to do that first? Or are you going to do the talk? Same time. Well, that's pretty amazing. She can multitask. So I'll tell you a little bit about her. She is a registered dietitian and a certified diabetes educator with Ho'ola Lahui, Hawaii. She provides nutrition counseling, nutrition education in the Hawaiian charter schools, and plant-based cooking demonstrations. She does contract work with other agencies as well. She has a BA in nutritional sciences from Texas A&M University and a master's degree in nutrition from Southern Illinois University. Sharon's passion is children's nutrition. She has 2 boys, ages 9 and 15. She's an avid plant-based home cook. She loves finding ways to add vegetables and to everything her boys eat and to make plant-based eating kid-friendly. So her talk today is going to be about maintaining health, and studies show that 1 in 3 people will have diabetes by the year 2050. And actually 1 in 3 Hawaiians dies from diabetes. A low-fat vegan diet can help prevent and manage and even reverse diabetes. Diabetic diets typically call for portion control, carbohydrate limits, and for those who are overweight, calorie restrictions. Fortunately, there is another way. Sharon will discuss how low-fat, plant-based diets are ideal for diabetes and the conditions associated with it, such as heart disease, weight gain, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure. And they offer the advantage of not requiring any weight or measuring portions. Going hungry is not necessary. Sharon will also demo how to make lentil walnut taco meat and a plant-based cheese sauce. This is a recipe that the whole family can enjoy. So I want to turn it over to Sharon. Let's give her a welcome. I'm going to...
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me, you guys. This is quite a treat. This is really the first time I've been to a potluck where I could eat everything on the potluck. And I'm usually the one bringing the vegan or the plant-based option, and then I end up only being able to eat my own dish. So this is really a great treat, and all the food was delicious. So tonight we're going to talk about a low-fat, plant-based diet and how it can help prevent us from getting diabetes. If somebody does have diabetes, then switching over to a low-fat, plant-based diet could help control their blood sugar numbers or bring their blood sugar numbers down. In some cases, maybe reducing some medication or even getting off some medication. And in some instances, also reversing the disease itself. But before we kind of get into that, I have some vegetables that really need to get soft and simmer. So I was just going to start that. I have a bag of frozen cauliflower that I'm just going to put in this pan here. And you guys are tasked with the job of making sure this doesn't overflow while I'm talking. So to that, so a whole bag of frozen cauliflower and about 1/3 cup of diced carrots. And I'm going to put in a couple of little cloves of garlic here. And what we're making is actually a cheese sauce to put on some taco meat. And I'm just going to cover it. If it starts overflowing, yell at me, okay? But so I'm going to kind of put it on a little bit medium. I want it to medium-high. I want it to boil, and then I want it to simmer. Okay. This is my student, Anise, and she's helping me tonight. Thank you so much. So diabetes comes from an ancient Greek word meaning to pass through or to siphon. And mellitus comes from a Latin word meaning sweetened with honey or honey sweet. So diabetes mellitus has always been associated with sugar. And when you hear the word, people always say, oh, I have high blood sugar. So I think that's kind of where that originated. Thanks. So there's 3 types of diabetes that you guys might be familiar with. And the first one is type 1 diabetes, which is generally referred to as the juvenile onset or the child onset, because this is mostly diagnosed when you're a child. And this is where the pancreas just stops sending out insulin, and somebody with type 1 diabetes will need to take insulin for the rest of their life. Nobody really knows what is the cause of this. We know it's an autoimmune disorder and the body cells attack each other. So of course there's a lot of research going on in trying to figure this one out. I was listening to a podcast the other week, and they were trying to connect dairy intake to this type 1. So I'm kind of interested to see how that research comes into play, because it's usually not diet related, but I think there's some researchers trying to relate the dairy intake to this. There's gestational diabetes, which is when a mother is pregnant, she can have elevated blood sugars, and that can usually be controlled with some diet and exercise. Sometimes some insulin might need to be prescribed, but usually after the child is born, the mother's blood sugars will go back down to normal, and she just needs to be a little bit careful because she might be at a higher risk for getting the adult onset diabetes later in life. So type 2 diabetes, which what we're going to talk about tonight, because this is the most common one. Thank you, the most common one. When I first started out, maybe 20 years ago, we were seeing people in their 60s and 70s coming in for the first time being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Now I really can't call it adult onset, because we're seeing so many of our keiki being diagnosed not with the type 1, but with the type 2. So we just refer to it as type 2 right now instead of the adult onset. My youngest diagnosed type 2 was 6 years old. I had a 6-year-old patient, and I want to talk about him a little bit later on. But we get tweens and teens coming in with type 2 diabetes, elevated blood sugars, a lot of 20, 30, and 40-year-olds being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. These are the busy parents. These are the coaches of the T-ball team after school. They're driving their kids around to all their activities, and they tell me, if I had time to eat healthy, I would, but it's easier for a lot of working parents and busy, it's not an excuse, but busy families to kind of pick up takeout on the way home and just feed the family that and then get the homework done and go to sleep. So those kind of bad eating habits are trickling down to the kids. And so we're seeing a lot more kids in our clinic with type 2 diabetes. So 415 million people in worldwide have diabetes, and 90% of that is the type 2. But if we want to break it down to just our country, if you can look at the top half of the slide, this is the prevalence of obesity in our country over the past 20 years, from actually 1994 to 2015. And you can kind of see, like, the darker the states get, the higher the prevalence of obesity. So over the past 20 years, almost a third of the country is considered overweight or obese. And if you look at the bottom half of the screen, this is the prevalence of diabetes in our country, and it almost exactly mirrors the prevalence of obesity. So the two are definitely related. Okay. If you want to break it down just to our county, and I'll read those numbers for you because I couldn't make the slide any bigger. But in our state, about 105,000 residents are diagnosed with diabetes, and this was 2014 data. If you want to break it down to just our county here, about almost 4,900 of our residents were diagnosed in 2014 with diabetes. And almost 6,900 of our residents have what we call pre-diabetes. Pre-diabetes, sugar is high, but it's not high enough to diagnose you with that diabetes diagnosis. So your sugar is not normal, but it's in this range that we call pre-diabetes. And imagine if those 7,000 residents switched over to a plant-based diet. I bet they would, 100%, they would no longer be in that category. Are you guys watching? Oh, it's boiling. Okay, I'm just going to simmer it. You guys weren't watching? All right. Okay, so what is supposed to actually happen in our body? So we eat a meal, and most of that food is turned into glucose so that our muscle cells can use that for fuel, all right? So in response to that meal, so we all just ate a wonderful meal. So in response to that meal, our pancreas is supposed to be sending out insulin right now to take care of all that glucose. And its job is to push that glucose into our cell so that our body can use that for energy. Now, think of the insulin as if it's like a key, if you will. It needs to go to the cell, it needs to unlock that cell, and then the insulin can go in there. All right, so that's what's supposed to happen. Okay. All right, so diabetes is a metabolic disorder where we have prolonged levels of blood glucose in our bloodstream for a long period of time. So what might be happening is our pancreas is sending out the insulin, but our body just might not be responding to it properly. It might not be sending out enough insulin, so there's not enough to take care of all that glucose. So over a prolonged period of time, you get this glucose building up in the blood. So somebody with type 2 diabetes, they might have enough insulin or they might not. The body's just not responding to it. And that's where we call it insulin resistance. So our body becomes resistant to the insulin. Now, over time, that can lead to some short-term complications and some long-term complications. And the short-term symptoms, they're easily brushed off. They're easily put to the back of our mind because they're so subtle. So you might feel tired. Well, yeah, I went to work all day. I'm taking care of the kids. I'm tired. That's normal. I might feel more thirsty. Well, oh my God, it's been so hot. I've been drinking all this water, juice. Increased urination. Yes, of course, because I was just drinking all that stuff. And blurred vision. Well, I'm a year older now. Of course, maybe I should go get my vision checked out. So as you can see, these are just symptoms that are easily brushed off to the side because they are so subtle. And when people come into the clinic and they are diagnosed with diabetes, we kind of go over this list and they go, you know, in hindsight, I did have all of these things and I didn't think anything of it. In the long term, we're at an increased risk of heart disease, kidney problems, vision loss, nerve damage. The sugars in our blood, it's got to go somewhere, so it ends up affecting our organs. Okay? Oh, we're going to turn this off now, and it's just going to simmer. All right, so how does this insulin resistance happen? Well, it comes down to our intake of animal fat. All right? So animal fat is the saturated fat, which is the bad fat, which is the one that raises our cholesterol. So if we're following a standard American diet, which has animal on the plate at least 3 times a day, let's say, for example, we have bacon and eggs in the morning. For lunch, we might have a plate lunch. Dinner, we'll have a nice dinner, but the animal is this front and center on the plate. All this saturated fat starts kind of clogging up our cells. And if you remember back to high school biology, remember the mitochondria is the little powerhouse of the cell? It goes around and it tries to clean up this stuff, this lipid or this fat. And it does good for a while, but if we keep intaking all this animal fat, it gets kind of tired. It's kind of like me looking at my boy's stuff. I'm like, I just picked that up. And the next night it's piled on the table. I'm like, oh gosh. So it's kind of like the mom is the mitochondria and she's just getting fed up and she can't take it anymore. So the moms get it. So insulin, the pancreas releases the insulin. Remember, it's the key. So it comes to the cell and it's trying to open the lock, but now there's gum in the lock. It can't open it. So if it can't open it, then the glucose can't get in, and that's our insulin resistance. Okay, next. So this is just a study that showed they broke up thousands and thousands of people and they divided them into their eating habits. They divided them into how much meat or animal they ate. So they had a group of non-vegetarians. These guys ate animal products all the time. They had a group of semi-vegetarians, which might have had meat a couple times a week. Pescatarians, which eat fish, but no pork or chicken or beef. Vegetarians, who might eat eggs or dairy, but they stay away from the red meat and the fish and all that. And then the totally plant-based group. And when they separated them out like that, they found that the BMI of the plant-based group was the least, body mass index, and they found that the rate of diabetes in the plant-based group was also the least. Now, when you look at that BMI, it kind of is deceiving because it kind of looks, oh, well, that's not much of a difference from 30 to 21, 22. But a normal BMI is like 18 to 25, and then anything above that is considered overweight. And once we're over 30, that's the obese category. So it's just a small change, but it puts the plant-based in pretty much the only group in the healthy BMI category. Okay. So my 6-year-old, remember I was telling you about my 6-year-old patient? So I was talking to the mom, and this is what the mom said he ate in a day. So breakfast was a can of Portuguese sausage and rice. And for those of you who don't know, 1 can has 7 sausage. Lunch, he would not eat at school. He would, the mom would pack a couple slices of Spam and some rice. After school, he got hot dog for snack. Hot dogs for snack. Yeah, I know. And then dinner, mom would cook a pretty healthy dinner, but he would refuse to eat it. So grandma, oh, those grandmas. Grandma would go and get fast food for him. And then his drinks were Hawaiian Sun, Arizona, that kind of stuff. So a lot of animal fat, a lot of saturated fat. And in case you were wondering, that was a 2,500 calorie day for him. And that's astronomical for a 6-year-old. I mean, that's really crazy. 109 grams of fat, 34 grams of saturated fat, 8 grams of fiber, 5,500 milligrams of sodium. We really need to try and keep it under 2,000, and then 245 milligrams of cholesterol. So what do we do then? How do we kind of clean out that cell of all the animal fat? Well, the old way, which I learned when I was going to school, and probably your doctors have kind of told you this too, was like, cut back on your carbohydrate. And in fact, when somebody comes in to sit with me, that's the first thing they say out of their mouth. I already gave up rice. I'm like, well, let's talk about that a little bit more. Maybe we don't have to give that up. We told them to cut back on portion sizes. And then we also gave them a calorie restriction. And this was such a pain to do. We would take their height and their weight and their activity level, come up with this magic number of how many calories they were to have a day, and most of the time it was something ridiculous, like 1,200. Now, I could maybe follow that for a day or two, but yeah, so you can imagine the non-compliance with this diet was really high. And look at the small portions. I mean, that's ridiculous. And we had such great portions of food here tonight. Okay, next. So the new approach, which is what I'm trying to get our doctors on board with here, is yes, we can have carbohydrates, yes. Whole food carbohydrates. Should we cut back on sugar and white rice? Yeah, we should. But we should eat more brown rice, quinoa, beans, sweet potato, that kind of stuff. Eat less fat. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Eat more fiber. Definitely need more fiber. We don't digest it, so it kind of sweeps everything out, sweeps out all the junk from our body, and fiber only comes from plant products. Eliminate the animal products and choose lower glycemic foods. So the glycemic index is like a scale of foods on how quickly they turn to sugar in our body. So the higher ones are like white bread and white rice, and the lower ones are the higher fiber ones like sweet potatoes and oats. Okay. So does this really work? So there's a few studies out there that actually prove that this works. I just picked one to highlight. But the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine did a 22-week study, and that's not very long at all. But they broke these people who had diabetes up into 2 groups. One is following the new approach, low-fat, plant-based. The other group was following the American Diabetes Association diet, which was that small little picture that we saw on the other page where they could have some animal product. So all the plant-based group had to do was they could eat all they wanted. There was no portion restriction. They just couldn't have animal products. And they had to limit their fat. So if they were having a salad, they couldn't pour the thing on there. Now, in the 22 weeks, 43% of that plant-based group reduced their medications in just 22 weeks. That's a really large number. Their A1C dropped 1.2 points, and A1C is hemoglobin A1C. It's a measure of your blood sugar over a 3-month time. So you go in to see the doctor, he'll give you a lab slip and say, go do this at the end of the week, and so you eat really good that week, right? Yeah, but this is a 3-month test, so if we all took our A1C today, it's not going to show this week. It's going to show September, August, and July what we've been eating. So this is the one you can't cheat. And hemoglobin is your red blood cell, and sugar is really sticky, so it's showing how much sugar is sticking to your red blood cell. And then the vegan group lost 13 pounds. So I've been trying to get some of my patients to do it, and so I've been in like almost 14 years in this one clinic, and so I see the same people all the time, and I was trying to get this lady to do it, trying to get her to do it. I'm like, Auntie, come on, Auntie, you got to do this, and eventually she went on insulin, and she keeps coming in, no, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, and like, come on, Auntie, this is a great time, your kids are grown, it's only you and Uncle in the house. She's like, well, maybe later. So one day she came in, and she's like, okay, let's try it. And the husband came in, and they were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, he said, fine, but I'm not giving up my fish. So she said, fine, so I'm doing it, and you eat fish. And I said, okay, let's do it. And we worked out a whole week's worth of menus that she was going to do. Every day she'd text me a picture of what she was eating. And then by the end of the week, she had to come in and get her insulin reduced. And she was just so happy about it. It was like a week, and her insulin had to be reduced. So she's still sticking with it. Her husband's still eating fish, but they get along pretty good with it. So how do we do this? If you guys, this is the power plate. So I think this is how our plate looked tonight, actually. What do you guys think? Yeah, it did. So fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, tofu, vegetables, all on the plate. If you guys are familiar with Choose My Plate, the one from the USDA, it looks similar to this, but it includes animal product. So this is the vegan version of that. Okay. All right, so to sum it up, we're going to avoid animal products because this contains the bad fat. This is the one that's linked to heart disease. This is the one that increases our cholesterol, and this is the one that causes that insulin resistance. I was just looking at the cholesterol. It reminded me of another kid. He was 12, and he came in not because he had high blood sugar. He had high cholesterol, and he was about 200 pounds. And then the mom was like, well, he's eating really healthy with me. I don't know what he's eating with the dad. And the dad wasn't feeding him that junk, too much junk. We found out it was grandma. Poor grandmas. They're going to get reamed tonight for me. So after school, he would go to grandma's, and she would take the chicken thighs and peel the skin off and just fry the skins and give that to him for his snack. I know. All right, so once we talked to grandma, that got straightened out. Okay, next. Avoiding added vegetable oils and high-fat foods. Now, there are a lot of miscommunication about oils. We think olive oil is really healthy, avocado oil, we have all the coconut oil and all these kinds of stuff. They're better than lard and those animal oils, but it's still an oil. This is a liquid fat. We have to kind of think of it like that. It's a liquid fat. So when we're stir frying something, we don't want to like pour the half a bottle in there and kind of stir fry stuff. The fats are 9 calories per gram versus carbs, which only have 4 calories per gram. So the fats are very high caloric dense. And I know the coconut oil is a plant, but it also is a saturated fat, which is the one we were talking about, that raises our cholesterol levels. And I know a lot of people think it's healthy. I did hear one researcher say if God made that coconut so hard to get into, we might not have, that might be a sign like we shouldn't be eating it too much. So I use it sparingly. If I want something to taste like coconut, I'll use it like in baking or something. I won't use a lot. There was one lady, she had done her cholesterol the year before. It was perfect. She came back the next year to redo it. Sky high. Her weight didn't change. And the doctor's like, go find out what happened. So I'm in there talking. She's like, no, I'm eating the same. But this was right when that whole coconut oil explosion came about a few years ago. And she was putting it in her smoothie in the morning, cooking everything in it, taking a big spoon and drinking it like that, like all day long was coconut oil, coconut, and everything. Her cholesterol was crazy high after that. So just go sparingly, okay? Sparingly. Next. We're going to follow the lower glycemic index when possible. It just means whole grains, oats, sweet potato, brown rice, vegetables. These tend to raise your blood sugar a little bit less than other foods. Beans are really good. We're going to go high fiber. We're going to try to get 35 to 40 grams a day. And fiber, again, is only found in plants. And, okay, next. And if you're wondering what 35 to 40 grams looks like, it looks like maybe oatmeal in the morning with chia seeds and a banana, some soybeans for snack, a veggie wrap with some hummus for lunch, an apple, some almond butter for another snack, some stir-fry brown rice. That comes out to almost 39 grams. If, however, you're not used to getting that much fiber, start slow. Don't go eat that tomorrow. We'll have some discomfort, okay? So just start real slowly. And then some resources. I'm sure you guys have all these resources, and I'm preaching to the choir, but these are some good cookbooks that follow the low-fat approach where they don't use a lot of added oils in their recipes. The Forks Over Knives, the whole China Study series, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. If you have not checked them out, you need to go check them out. They have a fabulous website with all kinds of information. They just recently started doing a podcast called the Exam Room Podcast. So much information on that podcast if you're interested in nutrition stuff. And then the Engine 2 cookbook that has a lot of also low-fat recipes in there that are all plant-based. And feel free to ask any questions as we go along, but we're going to move to the cooking demo part of the presentation. These look really good. So I have 2 boys, and so I'm always searching for kid-friendly things that they're going to eat, that they're going to love. Tacos is one of those things. And so tonight we're going to be making a lentil taco meat. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mince up a clove of garlic in the food processor. And I like to keep the food processor running and then drop the garlic in there. And that way it'll mince it up really good. Because if we throw everything in there and the garlic whole, the person who doesn't like garlic is going to get like a big chunk, which is my 9-year-old. It's too spicy, Mom. All right, so to this, we're going to add 2 cups of lentils and about a cup of walnuts that have been toasted. What's that? The lentils cooked, yes. Sorry, cooked. And a little fun fact about walnuts, they are good for our brain, and that's because they also look like our brain, sort of. All right, so we're going to put in the toasted walnuts. If you don't want to use walnuts, you could probably use like pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds or anything like that. And we're just going to pulse it. We don't want to turn it to mush. We still want a little bit of texture. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, we're going to take our taco meat. Kind of looks like taco meat, huh? All right, and we're just going to put it in our bowl here. So this taco meat, you can make tacos, soft tacos. I usually like to do like a little burrito bowl or something with this. However you would use regular taco meat, you can use this. And the lentils are a really inexpensive protein, and they're a huge source of fiber. And we're going to get lots of vitamin E from our walnuts. All right. Now, to our taco meat, we're adding oregano, we're adding chili powder, and we're adding cumin. I have the recipes over here for you guys, so you guys don't have to write them down. All right, so we're just going to stir that all in there. Now, the challenge for you guys, we are talking about reducing the fat, right? Reducing our intake of all those oils. Your challenge this week is to kind of go home and reduce the amount of oil. Like maybe take a look at a that you've been doing, and maybe it says 3 tablespoons of oil. Maybe try it with 1 or not at all. You can saute with water or with vegetable broth. So in here it was just the water, cooking that up. The original recipe for this said to add 3 tablespoons of oil to keep it moist. We're not going to do that. We can add a little bit of water to it. That's all. So experiment this week, okay? That's your guys' challenge. And you'll have to report back how you did. So that was it. This is simple. This is the taco meat that's ready to go. But my kids love cheese, and I'm always on a mission. I'm like obsessed with vegan cheese. And if you guys have a good recipe, you'll have to let me know, because I'm trying all these different ones out. And the ones that I buy from the store, they're good, but then they also have a lot of fat in them. They either have the coconut oil or some kind of, like a lot of nut oil and that kind of stuff. And they're expensive, really expensive. So for this one, I found a recipe that used carrots and potatoes to make a cheese sauce. And then I found another recipe that had some cauliflower in it. And nothing brings me greater joy than to add vegetables to what my kids are eating. I just love it so much. So I kind of combined the 2 recipes, and I hope you guys are going to like this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put the cooked vegetables in the Vitamix. Now, this recipe called for about 3/4 cups of soaked cashews, but I'm only going to put in 1/4 cup because I want to lower the fat. And I'm not one of those people to always have cashews soaking overnight in my fridge. So one trick that I do, I did soak these today though, because I was coming here and I planned ahead. But if you don't have them soaking in your fridge and you want to make this right away, throw them in here with your vegetables while they're cooking, and they will soften up really good. And they're just in there to give the cheese sauce a little extra creaminess and an extra silkiness. You can use sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds. I've done it with hemp seeds too. It's just going to give a little bit different flavor. Now, you want to save the liquid here because the sauce is going to be real thick, so we're going to thin it out with the liquid. And the reason we're going to use this liquid is because when you boil vegetables, the water-soluble vitamins kind of leach out into the liquid, so we're going to add that back in. Okay, so to this, we're going to add our 1/4 cup of soaked cashews. But again, if you're running out of time, just put them in there with your vegetables. We're going to add about 1 tablespoon of miso paste, and this is going to give it that little tang and sharpness that we like when we get cheese. We're going to add about a couple tablespoons of lemon juice, and again, the recipe is over here. And a couple of sun-dried tomatoes. This is just to give it that darker orange color that we like. And then the spices, I have cumin, I have chili powder, and I have nutritional yeast. And the nutritional yeast is going to give it that cheesy flavor. And I'm just going to add in, I can tell I'm going to need a little bit of water in this already. Now, this is a little bit of a nacho cheese kind of flavor to go along with our taco meat. So if you wanted to leave the chili powder and the cumin out, you could do that too. And when I do that, I'll just put it over noodles for the kids, for macaroni and cheese, and they like that. And I'm just smiling because I'm like, you're eating cauliflower. So your cheese sauce comes together in a matter of seconds, and you get a really thick, creamy, yummy, velvety cheese sauce that you can put on anything. And we have some samples for you. So I didn't want to do like waste plastic, so we brought those little Tostita chips, but it's one chip, so it's allowed tonight. And then so Anise is going to bring those out in a second. But do you guys have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Let me use the mic.
You could probably alter the meat and make it an Asian sort of flavor if you left out those spices, right?
could
And
probably
maybe
put,
use
like,
liquid aminos or coconut
perfect.
aminos or something,
Yeah.
and then make egg rolls with that or something
Oh,
like
what
that
a
with
good
cabbage
idea.
and carrots.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it looks
What a
like it
great
would work,
idea.
fit well and roll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to try that. Yeah. Thank you. Yes,
Any
sir.
other questions, Vichel?
What's that? In this? No. Oh, so I was saying that one of the recipes that I was looking at used carrots and potato and lemon juice, the cashews, some salt, and that recipe is really good too. But then I found another recipe that had cauliflower, and I was like, bye-bye potatoes, I'm using cauliflower, right? But if you had potatoes, that would be fine too. You just got to cook them first too. Yeah. It's fun just to kind of experiment, especially with the cheeses. Yeah. Yes. No, you're good.
And cauliflower is surprisingly high in vitamin C, and what else? You know better than I, but especially with people getting
Well,
sniffly colds this season, it's nice to boost your
Yeah,
C.
cauliflower has the vitamin C. It's actually a pretty super ingredient. There's a lot of antioxidants and phytochemicals in there, and I think there was one study that said that there's something in there that actually attacks breast cancer cells. So, and it's one of those things I typically buy the frozen because they are so much more affordable. The fresh cauliflower, that's like $7, I want to say. You could totally use the fresh if you had and you wanted to do that. I'm just using the frozen because it's a much more budget friendly. Yeah. And it's faster, and you don't have to cut them, and you don't have to clean them. And you can, yeah, you can, if you don't use the whole bag, you can. So busy. Yeah, yeah.
Anybody else?
Yes.
I get letters from 5 alternative doctors, and they're talking about eat fat to keep fit and healthy fat. So that's why I use coconut oil, and yet I know it may have an issue with the liver, so I'm careful. But the ketogenic diet is another one I've heard a lot about,
Yeah.
and I don't know what you think about that.
I think every few years a low carb diet comes along and drives us dietitians crazy. But so the healthy fats would be like avocado and the nuts and yeah. So we have so many avocados, so enjoy it right now. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the keto diet, your brain can only use glucose as fuel, and so when you eliminate that from your diet, we're not sure of the long-term effects of staying on that diet for a substantial period of time. So my recommendation would be to not do it for a long time. Yeah.
Well, and I've heard other researchers say that the obesity issue in America is due to low fat diets, but I think it's the commercialized food.
Well, so that, I think I know what you're referring to. So you guys remember back in the 80s, early 90s, when all that fat-free products came out, the fat-free cookies and the fat-free crackers. Did America become skinny? No. So it has a lot to do with calorie, and that has a lot of sugar in those things. And yeah, so we didn't reduce our calorie intake. Yeah. And excess calories that we take in do get converted to fat if our body doesn't use it. Yeah.
So I have a question. The recommendations that you're recommending for diabetes, it seems like a lot of those are the same for cancer as well as heart disease.
Yeah, we just picked diabetes
Yeah.
as a topic today.
Yeah.
But for a lot of things, it would be a very helpful diet.
So where is your clinic? That you,
Oh, sure. So we have, we're all over the place. So we have a clinic in Waimea and one in Kapa'a, right behind Mahelona Hospital. So I have 3 offices. Waimea, Lihui is where, you know where that old Tejano's restaurant is? Across the round county building? Yeah, next to Allstate.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So we have some administrative offices there. Our pharmacy is there. We have a fitness center in Lihui. We do fitness classes also at Kapa'a Pool, Waimea Pool, Kapa'a Neighborhood Center. So we're kind of all over the place.
So what's the name of the clinic?
Ho'olalahui.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
They're at ho'olalahui.org.
so if anybody here wanted to come to the clinic, they could get your information and
Sure.
find out.
Yep,
Okay.
definitely.
So we'll get that later.
HOOLA.
Yeah, the one in Waimea is in the,
LAHUI.
it's in the, by the hospital.
Yes, so we're on the clinic side of the hospital.
Right.
Yes.
Hi. I just have a comment to follow up in your interest about the possible correlation between dairy and diabetes. I noticed then a lot of the nursing homes, which I hope your philosophy will affect more, are using the Ensure type products that are very high in sugar as well as dairy to sustain older folks, and
Yeah.
they, in my estimation, are producing diabetes from doing that. I experienced that with a
Yeah.
relative that
So I
didn't
can-
have diabetes until
I can put a plug in for the Waimea Care Center because we just got rid of all that, and we're doing
Good.
green shakes for them and non-dairy stuff.
Great,
Yeah. Yeah. But if a resident would like that, we don't deny them because they're in charge, we offer, but. Yeah, no, but we've been doing our own in-house homemade stuff with lots of good stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we still have Anise is getting the final toppings. So we have time for a few more questions, but it looks good. It looks very good.
Yeah.
Did everybody love the talk? Yes.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you.
very informing, and we learned a lot. What about the PowerPoint slides? Are those something that we could get from you?
Yeah, you guys can have it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We could just give you our email.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
I have it on the thing.
Okay.
On the stick.
On the stick.
On the thing.
That's a good time, just while we're finishing up, to make a few announcements. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, she used a lot of that information, and that's where we get most of the
okay, perfect.
information that we hand out.
Oh, good.
And
Perfect.
we have a bunch of these. These are just one-page or two-page articles on fish, on diabetes, on dairy, on all kinds of things, eggs. And then these are all free. We need to order some more. We have quite a few of the magazines, though. This is a special issue on cancer, cancer prevention and treatment. And then there's another one for people who are just learning, and trying to get started with being vegetarian. And this is a vegetarian starter kit. It has some recipes in it. So these are both very popular magazines that we...
These you can download from their website. You don't have to order.
No, but we provide them free in our outreaches. So we have some here today if anybody knows anybody, or if you'd like to, get...
I give this one out all the time to my patients. Yeah, it's really nice, and it kind of gives them a little step-by-step how they can make small changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we do have a need. We had an outreach coordinator, but I don't know what happened to her.
Yeah,
So we
we
do
can
need
all-
an
we have
outreach
plenty.
coordinator to hand out this literature too at KCC and many other places. So is it all ready?
It's ready.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Well, Grandma lives next door, so.
But have they been brought up as vegans from birth?
No.
Or
no.
you had to transition them into...
They're not full plant-based right now, but most of what I cook for them is plant-based. But they're going to make their own decision. Yeah.
Okay, because we're trying to help our grandchildren.
Oh, good. You're a good grandma.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really hard. Yeah.
So pretty much...
But I think they might like this. How old are they?
Well, she's just 5.
Yeah,
So
great.
we're trying to give her good beginnings, and get
Huh.
into more plant-based.
How nice of you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry? She does everything with us. She's one of those you kind of have to wipe her off. But she's very receptive. So we're trying to take her away from the sugar addiction to substitute type of plant-based sweets and all of that. And she's being receptive, so we have to go a little quicker, faster.
I think we have to remember it takes 20, 30 times to like a food, and if we think back to when we were 5, we didn't like a lot of stuff that we like now.
Yeah.
So I encourage well, when they were younger, we had a rule, you have to take a bite before you can tell me you don't like it. And so they take a bite, and then I'm like, well, thanks for trying it. And then, so the next time we have it, okay, try it again, try it again, try it again.
It's a process.
Yeah, it is. It's a practice. It's
Yeah.
not a perfect, it's a practice.
So I don't know if
We gotta
that,
be patient.
I don't know if that would have won, but I thought it was one of the best
Oh, thanks.
food.
Thank you. Well,
one of the best things here.
We have a lot, so.
Yes. So I'm very. You have another question? I'm sorry. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Since you have a lot, and there weren't that many dishes this evening, would you mind if we took more with
I
those
would not mind at all. Nope.
cups or bowls that she's taking away right now, actually?
So you can build a little bowl, and I told her
Very
just to
good.
put a dot of the salsa because I think I made it too spicy. But I liked it. I like spicy, but just be careful because my family's like, it's too spicy.
So the chip, I don't like processed foods either. So what do you usually use it in, or how do you usually use it?
So I'll make a burrito bowl. So I'll have like brown rice or quinoa, and then I'll put my taco meat and like some vegetables and salsa, and then the sauce.
So you put it on a grain rather than in a
Yes. So he said to make a sample. So his fault, but he said to make a sample. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. For sure. For sure. Yeah.
It's
Could
very
put it
good.
like maybe in a corn tortilla. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I was just thinking that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's like a taco shell.
Or a piece of celery.
Celery. There you
Yeah.
go.
Cool.
That'd be a good idea.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, Gerald. Gerald has a question.
Thank you. Technical question. I am diabetic. I have been for about 5, 6 years now. I was told, and it was just mentioned to me a couple of minutes ago, that diabetics shouldn't fast. I fast on a regular basis, and I've found no adverse effects. Also, could you address supplementation for omega-3s and omega-6s?
As long as you're eating a variety of foods, you probably don't need those supplements. You just want to be careful where the supplement is coming from, too. So you want to make sure it's not like a fish source if you're going to try to be plant-based. And then if you're fasting, you just want to make sure you're checking your blood sugar a lot. Are you drinking something? Is that fasting?
Water. I do, when I fast, I use LS water, and I'll generally go between 8 and 12 glasses of water
would
while I'm fasting a day.
I would probably just make sure your doctor knows and that you're checking, and that if you have high doses of medication that you might not want to be taking during that time, just ask your doctor. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, yeah. Thank you for the question.
Anybody else with a question?
Thanks, guys. So there's lots. So we can
there's
make,
a lot left
we
over.
can make to go.
Yeah, we can. This will be to go. For those that want to eat some more, I know some people didn't get that much to eat. They came in later. Sorry about that, because usually we have enough food. I want to make just a couple of announcements, but I want to thank Sharon first. It was an incredible
Thank you.
talk.
You're welcome.
And I'm very impressed at how she can multitask, because she was making food while she was doing the demo. I've never seen anybody do that. But I've never actually seen somebody actually do a PowerPoint and make food at the same time. So that was pretty amazing. Yeah. Also, I want to mention to Sharon that you probably have a lot of people that need a support system. And if they don't have a support system, it's really hard to change, and that's why we're here. We consider the Vegetarian Society a support system, and we encourage any of the people you're working with to come and just come every month and learn. And we actually had a lady, I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if she moved off island, but she was doing cooking demos every 2 weeks in between the meetings. So the mid-month we had cooking demos for the 2 or 3 months, and I think she moved back to the mainland. I don't know. I haven't been able to get a hold of her. So we'd be happy to have people come and do, we don't always have cooking demos. We did today, but we need more help to help people learn how to transition. And if we could get people to come and do cooking demos, that would be awesome. So we thank you very much for taking your time, and we want to invite you to come back and join us every Sunday and speak again. How many would like to hear Sharon speak again? Amen. So thank you so much, and thank you, Anise, for your help. Yes. I do have a few announcements that Amarosa wanted to have me announce, but before that, I want to thank Amarosa and Loya. It's because of them we're meeting here free. So don't move. Please don't move, okay? So that's why this can happen. I want to thank Michelle for helping get the word out. She actually did an announcement on KKCR. Somebody found our volunteer post on Craigslist. It was, what's the guy's name? Marshall. He is one of the DJs for KKCR, and he was excited, and he contacted me while I was in Iowa and said, we'd like to have you promote the Vegetarian Society on KKCR for free. And I said, well, I'm not there, but I know someone that would be great at it. And so Michelle did the promotion maybe a week or two ago. Yeah, and so it went very well, and I think they're probably going to have us announce and promote the Vegetarian Society again on KKCR. So we're getting known slowly but surely. And thank you, Michelle, for posting it on Facebook, and Robert, he's also posting it on Facebook and putting up flyers. Michelle's been doing that as well. But we need help to put everything back in order. The reason we can keep using this place is because we keep it clean, and we don't leave messes and stuff. And a lot of hands makes light work. So if you could help us out, that'd be great. Amarosa has a bag full of cloths, and she would like some help in wiping the tables, if anyone would like to do that. And she has this super green max stuff that's going to kill germs and all this stuff. So anyway, that's it. If you need to leave, you're dismissed. But thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing with others about the Vegetarian Society. So what is happening in 2 weeks? Dine out. Yes, you need to see Walt. And if you want to sign up for the Vegetarian Society, we have enrollment forms there, and there's literature table. And what is happening in 1 month? The next meeting, first Sunday of the month, 4:30 p.m. Benjamin, you don't want to miss his talk. Benjamin Konigsberg. And so I invite you to put that in your calendar and invite a friend. And thank you, Mikhail. He brought 5 people. Yeah. And I don't think any of them have been here before. So bring some friends. Thank you again for coming and helping. Blessings. You're dismissed. And there's more food up here.